that's, this catch-all type of thing, because like I said, there's still a lot of violence in the United States, and I think security forces, whether it's a anarchist or otherwise, are reactive. They're not proactive. They're not preventative. They can't be, because that's not their function. And I can't just assume that because I'm walking down the street, if someone decides to jump out of a car and shoot me in the head, just because there is the Chicago Police Department, that's not going to prevent that from happening to me. I think that when you're talking about preventive, and I wanted to kind of bring this up earlier, prevention and being proactive, I think a lot of it has to do with personal relationships, people's families. I think a lot of it has to do with how people are raised and where they come from. I think that's something that's not discussed very much. I think people like to start in the middle of an argument and just think that, oh, everyone, you become 18 years old and you're just this person. I mean, that would be another probably very long discussion. Where do these things come from? Why would somebody even do that in the first place? Police force or not, do this type of harm to people.
Well, if the government is limited,
Mm-hmm.
it could perform the functions it's supposed to,
Okay.
which is to protect your life and your liberty well.
Mm-hmm.
Now, since it's dedicating so much of its time and money to improper services and proper functions,
Mm-hmm.
it's no wonder they're not performing the functions that they should be performing at a very high level. But in principle, if somebody commits a robbery, the police will try to catch them and punish them. If they are there, they will try to prevent it.
Sure.
And so that's one important difference, I think, between an anarchist society and a limited government, where you do have that general protection. So let me ask you another question. Right now, under anarchism, would the criminal gangs have an incentive to buy military hardware, firepower, like tanks or guided missiles or drones with missiles? Right now, if any criminal gang bought a tank with the guided missiles, they're not that expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Would that increase the amount of potential victims that they had, or would that just be a big mistake and they would end up in jail immediately?
Well, I mean, like I said, I mean, if you were in a truly voluntary free society, I guess if somebody wanted to buy a guided missile or a fully functioning tank, they could.
Not somebody, I mean a criminal gang.
Oh, an organization.
Yeah, a criminal organization that derives its income from predation. The question right now is, under this even mixed economy, and even better in a limited government, if a criminal gang buys a tank with guided missiles, will that increase the amount of victims that they could expropriate money from, or would they just go right to jail quickly?
Well, I mean, you're talking about under a limited government.
Even under this mixed, horrible economy that we have now.
You mean if you're talking about like if a criminal gang in the United States bought
Yes.
this? Oh, well, I think that since you have the government, it would probably react to that, I'm sure. And
Right. It would be a big mistake. That's why they don't buy them, right? They don't buy tanks and they don't buy guided missiles. Why? Because if they did, they do buy guns, right?
yes.
And the reason they buy guns is because they have more potential victims with a gun than just with their bare fists, right? So by buying the gun, it expands the possibility of extortion and predation. But if they bought a tank, it would not expand under our present system or under a limited government. It would not expand potential victims. It would put an end to their gig, because the government would come right in there and say, I see you have a tank here parked out in front of your house, so I think we're going to take you to jail and leave it at that, right?
Yeah, but I don't see the difference between a criminal gang buying all of these and the government having access to all of these. People vote for all these politicians. I don't know who Donald Trump is. I didn't vote for any of these people. They're all strangers, and they seem to have at their whim a hell of a lot of firepower. They got nuclear weapons and everything. I mean, these things have been used. We've dropped 2 atomic bombs on a country not that long ago. And you're saying, well, a criminal gang will buy this, buy that. I mean, we sell all this garbage to all these people all over the world, doing things in their own country or to other people through stuff that we sell them. So
Absolutely,
I don't see just because, oh, well, as long as it doesn't happen here, there shouldn't be any of this stuff. I agree with what you're saying. If you, in a government, in this type of government, if somebody bought these things and they were somehow got a hold of them and they seemed to be a threat to their neighbor, their state, I mean, well, of course, a higher, more powerful force would probably come down and